Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you guys why you should always tear down your motors before you put them in the car. So let's get into today's video. All right, so first things first, guys, let's give a good scenario of why you would have to do this before you take your engine and put it into a car. It's a very commonplace thing for a lot of old cars and a lot of used cars, even brand new ones, to go in the junkyard, grab yourself up a motor that came out of a wrecked vehicle and just put it in your car. You take your, maybe you need to swap an intake manifold, some exhaust manifolds, but generally, a lot of people don't open the motor before they put it in the next vehicle. They come with the theory that the car or the vehicle was mashed and it was on the road running, which is a very good theory because that works a lot. The car or the vehicle was on the road, which means the engine had to be performing at some level before it was in a car crash or in an accident, and now it's in need of being in a scrapyard. So you went in the scrapyard, you found yourself a motor, one of your friends mashed his vehicle, he sold you the vehicle, now it's your headache to put it in your vehicle. So this is a engine that I got from one of my friends. It came in a mashed vehicle. He mashed this car, this Mustang GT, on the road driving it. So we assume the motor is perfectly fine. As far as he knew, it just used to smoke a little bit and that was it. High mileage motor, very, very common. These things can live very long. This is actually a 2-valve, 4.6 liter, and it's very common for them to puff a little bit of smoke every now and again. But this was just going to be thrown into a Mustang because this motor was in the vehicle running and driving at the time of the accident. And I'm gonna show you right now why you should always take off your oil pan, your timing cover, and your valve covers and inspect the motor before you ever throw it in another vehicle. Let me show you guys something. If you guys take a look, a general look around the motor, you're gonna tell yourself, oh wow, the block, super clean. No bunch of damage, no scoring in the block, no nothing. Look at it. It is absolutely perfect. That's what you would tell yourself. You would look at the front of the motor, and you would come up, you'd say, okay, cam gear, chain. You got your guides, you got your tensioner, same thing on this side. You got the reluctor wheel, I hope I'm saying that right, and you have your gear on your crank, and you're gonna say everything looks good. This is what you should actually be looking for, especially in a 2-valve 4.6, but any vehicle. Wear and tear on your guides, look at this. This chain has already gone through the guide, but you have to literally get in here and really look to see that the chain is already going through the guide. You wouldn't be able to see it from the front. Notice how if you were to throw this in your vehicle and start beating the living crap out of it, then you would develop this issue and you would destroy your entire motor for maybe a $10 guide. When you look in this oil pickup tube, now you're like, oh my God, look at the bearing material, and it's not. It's actually, let me get this to focus. It's a piece of that guide. It came from the front here. So this is the perfect example of why you should always tear down your motors, inspect your oil filter, check your oil pickup tube, check your timing guides. Make sure everything is right with the motor before you spend money and time putting it in another vehicle. Let me show you guys the oil pan. It's a bit sludgy, but this particular motor has actually sat up for over 10 years, so that is a given. This is the oil, and if you look, some coolant was mixed in with it just because I was draining the coolant and the oil at the same time, but not a single metal flake was in the oil pan or in the oil itself. So that would give you a conclusion that this motor would have ran for about another, let's say 100 miles, 200 miles, and then you would have developed the issue with the timing guide and you would have needed another motor right away. A lot of people also take off maybe a main cap that's furthest away from the oil pump, so the back one or the one right before it. They also check maybe underneath 1 or 2 caps for the connecting rods. I'm not going to do that because I don't see excessive metal in my oil pickup tube. That is just metal from the timing guide, and we're going to fix that. So I wouldn't even mess with what we call the factory magic, like by unbolting one of these two things. Now people do it and use these bolts again, but they are torque to yield. So which means once you've tightened them down and you loosen them, they're no good anymore. They don't carry the same torque spec. So I'm not gonna loosen any of that. I know what the problem is. I found pieces of the guide in my oil pickup tube, and we're just gonna fix that and move on with our day. As simple of a diagnosis as you think that is, guys, it really is that simple. That's why it's so important to take off your oil pans, your timing covers, your valve covers. You need to inspect or at least take a peek inside to see how the internals look. Everything in the bottom end is perfect with this. No bent rods, no cracked pistons, nothing like that. So I deal with my timing issue, and this motor should be good to go. We shouldn't have any issues other than that. At least until you start driving it, then you might find out 1 or 2 leaks and you fix those. But before I put this in the vehicle, I'm gonna clean this up, give it a nice little paint job, silicone everything up, make sure nothing is leaking, and then cross our fingers that this thing lasts a very long time. But that is the rule of thumb why you should always be careful when buying either a junkyard motor, a motor from eBay, something from Facebook, something from one of your friends. It doesn't really matter what it is. You want to take that oil pan off, take those valve covers off, take the timing cover off. Just look at it. Sometimes you might find something that'll prevent you from needing another motor after this one. So in my case, I am super lucky. Like I said, I found the timing guide completely torn to crap. We're gonna change all of the guides one time, change the chains as well. And also, I figured out that this pickup tube is kind of bent from the accident. The oil pan was dinged in. So I'm gonna change the oil pan, oil pickup tube. And when I take the pickup tube off, I'm gonna inspect the oil pump as well, which is looking for any metal shavings or pieces of metal in there. And if there is any, then I'm gonna tear down all of this and check the bearings. But if there's nothing in there, we're just gonna put a brand new pickup tube on this bad boy and run the living crap out of it like we always do. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Always remember, don't drift without your dreams, and I'll get you guys on the next one.